Hello everybody, welcome back to SportsKhabri. Today we will be speaking with Namrata Chatterjee. Namrata is a prominent sports lawyer who is currently working as the league secretary with the Indian Super League. Let's see how the conversation goes. Hello Namrata, welcome to SportsKhabri. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi Akshita, thank you for inviting me. Happy to have this chat.
Namrata, when did you decide on becoming a lawyer?
So to start with, law was also not my first choice of career. I was studying to be an engineer, like taking all those engineering classes, etc. But I was not really enjoying it. So after the 12th boards, when I was giving these exams, etc., I decided I don't want to continue with this. And instead, I wanted to be a sports journalist. But at that time, after having some discussions with family, etc., because my sister was already doing law at the time, and both my parents have a law degree, so they were like, "Why don't you just go for law and writing? I mean, you enjoy writing, etc. You can do that as a side, hobby on the side, but maybe go for law as a degree to go for." So that's how it kind of came about to even become a lawyer.
Namrata, once you decided and you of course got your law degree, what made you think that now it's the time that I want to pursue a career in sports law? And were there a lot of sports lawyers around you to inspire you towards this path? And were there women also in this industry back then?
So to be honest, sports law again, I'd already started working in law, and my love for sports always remained. But it was around, I think, law is a 5-year, undergrad degree. So in my third year, it was then when my sister told me that some of, the students in her law school were doing some sports law internships. And she was like, why don't you also try that out? Because you're so interested in sports. So I took her up, and then I applied to those places, and I got through a sports law firm called Law Office of Nandan Kamath, where I interned, and I really had a good time interning there. I really enjoyed the work that we were doing there. So after that, it was in my mind that I think this can become a career choice, like sports law, like already a lawyer, and you mix your passion for sports in it, and just be a sports lawyer. But I eventually got a campus placement, etc., in my final year. So I ended up going through the traditional law firm route first before really moving into sports law per se. But the thought, and I mean, I did a couple of internships even at that time. I interned with Justice Mukul Mudgal at the time, who was also doing a lot of probing and like match fixing allegations, etc. So I got a bit of experience, but I didn't immediately after law school start working full time in sports law. I joined the law firm. And when I was finally after 2 years of working in the firm, then I decided that now I want to do a sports, like a master's in sports law or something. And because I had the experience, I took the experience of a law firm. I realized this is, it's good learning, but I don't want to continue this. I want to, then I felt the right time to actually try and, pursue sports law as a career. So that's when I started looking up for master's options. And so it's been 10 years since I've graduated from law school. And, when I started looking for the master's also, it's been 8 years since then. That time, the question to ask, you were asking that who was my inspiration, etc. There were a couple of people like who I'd interned with, like I mentioned, who I could still ask a bit about, sports law and some suggestions. But there weren't too many people out there who could actually, show me the right, channel or the path to take up to pursue sports law and a master's, especially. So it was challenging. And I mean, there were a few women who were doing sports law at the time, but I didn't know them at that time. So when I was interacting with some of the people I knew, they did not really lead me to, some of the women who were probably already doing things in sports law. So I just Googled the master's programs, found, which seemed like a good option, applied to those, and thereon, with some guidance, etc., from the people I'd interned with, I went ahead and, did the masters.
Namrata, for the benefit of our listeners, can you tell us, is it necessary for someone to do their masters in sports law, or is it something that one can also learn on the job once they acquire a degree in law?
So I can actually say that, yeah, you don't really have to do a sports law, masters necessarily. But of course, doing it kind of helps you and your own understanding of the things, like, in a better way. So doing a master's, I would say, really helps when you're just trying to enter the sports industry. Like if you've already, made a big breakthrough somehow to work in sports and you've got the on the job experience, as you were saying, then probably a master's is not always necessary, but it's definitely helpful to give you that edge when you're trying to enter the sports industry, like, to start with. Also, even later, if you have the means to do the masters or you get a scholarship, etc., I wouldn't say there's any thing wrong then, like, to pursue it, because it'll only add to you and your, entire knowledge and your experience, exposure, everything. So doing a sports law masters for me and in my experience has been really beneficial. So it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to do it to succeed. But if you get an option to, I would say do it.
Namrata, you opted for FIFA Masters. Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, so like I was saying that, when I was looking for the masters options, etc., I found out on Google that there's something called a FIFA Masters. It sounded really exciting because it had, like, three different modules of sports management, humanities of sports, and sports law. So it kind of made me think that, I'm already a lawyer with a law degree. So doing this master's can kind of widen my ambit. So if I want to move out of law, probably doing this master's may allow me to do that. So thinking of that and the fact that this was, taking place across 3 different countries. So the humanities module, it actually takes place in Leicester, UK. The sports management module, which is their USP, it takes place in Milan. And the sports law module, it takes place in Neuchâtel in Switzerland. So, it's like a multicultural exposure and, different countries as well as different modules. So that's why I decided to kind of, pursue the FIFA Masters. And I was really lucky because I ended up getting a full tuition scholarship to do the Masters. So that made it a good, like an easy decision for me, because I had applied to a few more sports law LLMs per se, ISDE and University of Zurich. There are some other, like, good options, etc. But in this, I was getting this full scholarship as well as it was something beyond law also. So I decided to go for the FIFA Master.
And after that, you took up a job somewhere?
Yeah. So, like, after doing the FIFA Masters, I was actually working at the Asian Football Confederation, AFC, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I worked there for close to 3 years. And I was the legal counsel there in the disciplinary governance sports legal unit. So it was a really good experience working there. My, like, work really involved disciplinary and governance, etc., regulatory. That was kind of my mainstay. But yeah, it was obviously very, like, sports law focused. And when I talk about sports law here, I'm not just saying that, anything legal to do with a sports related topic, but actually probably this was very niche sports law in the sense that, I was dealing with the actual regulations governing football, the actual things which impact, on-field activities of, football, the red cards, the, yellow cards, and all the things which are actually impacting a player and the game per se. So that was really, like, a good learning and exciting experience for me, because I would also travel for the, matches, for the national team tournaments. And I worked across, like, all the women's competitions as well as the men's competitions, like across age groups, etc. I also did the futsal Asian Cup. So it really gave me, like, a varied, experience.
And then you decided to come back home, and now you're working with the ISL. How did you decide that, now I want to come back? And how is the transition like? Because the environment at AFC is different, the environment at ISL is different. Of course, football is the common, ground here. But the functioning of AFC is, entirely different from something like an ISL. So how did you accommodate to this change?
So, yeah, like I said, I'd already done most of the tournaments and, competitions that AFC was organizing. So I really got a varied experience. And by the time, it was like already like, 2.5 years, etc., started feeling like I've got this challenge done. I've, experienced things, learned a lot. But now I want to go back and maybe work in India for a while, see the ecosystem in Indian sports. Like I wasn't only thinking of working in football when I come back, but I was open to working in, any sport, but I wanted to come back to India. And also like, I mean, from in KL, I was away from my friends and family. So I felt that, now I want to just come back and, be with my family, friends, and work towards development of Indian sports in whatever manner I can. Because I mean, through the Masters and after that, even I mean, the Masters has a very good alumni network. I must mention that. So a lot of the alumni come to like teach us, and we get in contact with them, etc. So getting a lot of like knowing about job opportunities existing in the sports industry becomes easier because you have most of the alumni working somewhere or the other. So they help to connect you to different, organizations, etc. So even at AFC, when I just joined, my immediate boss was a FIFA Master alum at the time. So, that connect helped. Then after that experience, when I came back to India, so like I said, so I came with that mindset. And when I came here also, I ended up joining ISL. And the person, who was my immediate boss here is also a FIFA Master alum again. So that network has kind of been with me in so far in my journey of, working in sport. So yeah, that's why I mean that opportunity came across. Like I wasn't really only looking for football, but that opportunity came across that there was something suitable like my profile where I, was interested and similar to kind of the work I want to do in Indian football, Indian sports, and ISL is obviously, doing like so much and so well. So I wanted to just experience that.
Namrata, you mentioned that when you were in your college, you did intern with in a sports law environment, right? Post that you were with FIFA Masters, then AFC, now ISL. You have been in a position where you've seen how the industry is for women, how the industry is for women athletes, for women who are trying to make a career in different areas within the industry. What are some of the key learnings that you have taken away, and what are some of the things that you think that as a society we when I say we people in India can incorporate to make sure that sports industry becomes more and more gender neutral?
No, I mean, that's very true. Like, from my time, like I said, I observed like it's been 10 years working in law altogether, and probably like, 6, 7 years working in sports law already. And even in law, the number of women who are litigating who are out there, it's less. And then sports is already, has been traditionally more, so to say that, male kind of, preferenced and dominated in that sense. So when law and sports were mixing, it was even more of a smaller subset. So it's obviously, been a problem, but it's definitely changing is also a trend I've observed. Like, from then to now, like, like I said, there were a couple of women already who were working in sports law at the time in India who, and then I joined in, I started doing more. And then one by one, there are more and more. And we're all connecting with each other, like, in some way or the other, and we're supporting each other. I mean, I'm also a regional coordinator of women in sports law. Okay, it's called WISLAW. It's a Swiss organization. And I'm actually like, trying my best, like, since I'm the region coordinator for India, to kind of, include more Indian women sports lawyers to participate in that, network, because that's like a strong network of women sports lawyer across the world. And we really have a lot of conferences, seminars, talks, job opportunities are posted in the internal, like, channels, etc. So it's a helpful way, which I am happy to be part of. And, even otherwise, like, I mean, what I could do from my end, like I'm also now, I'm the league secretary for ISL, right? So I actually hired somebody to work with me last year. And of course, I, went through a whole interview process with a lot of people and everything. And finally, the person who's working with me is a woman. So I'm glad that, the person who finally, got selected is somebody who I can mentor as. So for newer people who are coming into sports law, who want to work into sports law, I feel they would be comfortable and, seeing that there are other women who are already, at some level working in sports law already established themselves. So I'm also really happy to mentor them.
Namrata, you interact with a lot of young students, you take guest lectures. How do you think that women have started to perceive the industry? Because there was a time when a lot of people showed a lot of resistance when it came to joining the sports industry, because, of course, it's a predominantly male dominated industry. So, how do you think women are looking at the industry now?
No, that's a very good question, I can say, because yeah, I have been taking, guest lectures from the last 4 years or so. And the classroom which I go to, I mean, they are still, I would still say the number of men in the class, who have elected for sports law, etc., and, who've joined these sports law courses where I'm giving guest lectures at, etc., are still more than the women there. But it's really good to see that the number of women is increasing. Like, every class I go to, I see that the number is definitely increasing each year and, each time. And to be honest, the girls are always very vocal in the class. They are very interactive. So that's a change I find really good to see that, they are inquisitive, they are interactive. And when you teach, that's what you enjoy. Like you want an interactive, session. So it's good to see these women, and they are very open to, doing these masters, pursuing sports as a career. Like, not just playing sport, but they've realized, and, through our guest lectures, through all of this, what initiatives you are doing, it's like to also build awareness about the different kind of roles that are available in sport. It doesn't have to be that you only have to be a player, but, you can also be an administrator. You can have, various other roles in sport. So I think that when we talk to these girls, they also get very excited knowing about the various opportunities that are presented. So there's a shift, and I see a large number of women now reaching out to me, wanting to do masters, wanting to ask about, opportunities in sports law.
Namrata, one message for all the girls who are looking to make a career in the world of sports.
I would simply say that, follow your heart. Like, if you really want to pursue something, obstacles will be there in every field you choose. It's not just sport or, this. So if you really want something, just go get it, make it happen. Start reaching out to people who you feel can guide you. Start reading up more of, things which are relevant to the career you want to choose. Be up to date with the industry news, with, whatever is happening. And if you want to work in sport, just be ready, because it's going to be challenging. It's not as glamorous as it seems like working in sports is going to be. So it's going to have a whole mix of up and downs and, everything. But after that, you'll emerge really enjoying the work you do. So just, go for it and be fearless about it.
Thank you so much, Namrata, for speaking with us today. Very grateful to you for your time and for your valuable insights. Looking forward to speak with you again.
Thank you so much. It was really nice chatting with you, and I hope, that the listeners will also have a good time listening to it.